This is the woven button front blouse, and this is the blouse behind me. Now I do want to tell you that I like to use blouses as jackets, so this makes a great jacket. That's why I have the black shirt underneath. So totally up to you as to which way you want to do this. You're going to gather everything you need before you start. It just makes this a whole lot easier. First thing you're going to need are the directions, and they're in the book, so make sure that you check those out and you can follow with the book. Make sure that when you do this that you look at the pictures while you're sewing, because it makes it a whole lot simpler. You need your master pattern, and you need your master pattern to fit you. So make sure that you've got it fitted the way you want it fitted. You need the front and the back and the sleeve, because we're going to create the pattern in just a second. We're making woven. Now, you can copy the same directions and use knit. That's totally up to you. But we're going to talk about woven right now. Now, woven fabric, I'm going to remind you again, does not stretch. Knits stretch. So that's totally up to you as to what you want to use. You're also going to need bias tape makers, because we're going to do a sleeveless garment in this blouse as well. So make sure that you have your bias tape makers. You want to use steam-a-seam, because we're going to glue some of this together. So choose your steam-a-seam. And then you're going to need French fuse. French fuse comes in black, and it comes in white, and it comes in beige. Totally up to you as to what color that you're using. The French fuse is going to go in the facing of the garment. This has buttons and buttonholes, so it needs some stability. So make sure that you have the French fuse ready to go for that as well. Then you're going to need patternese, and the patternese is what you're going to make your pattern out of. I sell this along with the French fuse on my website. So very simple and easy to order if you want to do that. So what we're going to do, let me put this down. What we're going to do first is we're going to take our master pattern, and I've already traced this out for you. So let me show you how we're going to do this. This is my front. This is my front. And you can see that I have added, according to the directions, 1.5 inches in the front. And this 1.5 inches that I've added in the front, that's for your buttons and buttonholes. Okay? So you are going to need a front, and then you're going to need the facing, and the facing pattern is on the back side of your master pattern. When you do the facing pattern, make sure that you add 1.5 inches in the center front of that as well, because this is going to overlap. It's going to button down, so that's going to overlap. You're just going to trace this off. Now, I only use, and this is totally up to you again, I only use 1/2 inch addition to woven blouses, but that's up to you. If you like blouses really loose, add more. I've only added 1/2 inch, and I think you can see that past what I drew the first time. All right, so this is your front. Always mark your patterns. Always, always, always mark your patterns. And you will see in the directions, I always suggest that you make a pattern for each one of these styles. That's the reason you need a lot of patternese. Reason being is you don't have to think anymore. You've got it. This is, and make sure you write on there what it is. It's the button front. So next time you make one, you don't have to go looking for it. So we're ready to go with this one. All right. So let me put this down here, and I'm going to get my patternese and show you how to do the back, because the back is done just a little bit different. And I'll tell you why. Let me lay this out like this. And I'm going to line this up with the fold right here. Now, I love these pattern weights. These pattern weights can be purchased at fashionsuppliesinc.com. They're fabulous because they're heavy and they hold everything in place, and nothing's going to slide on you. So they're fabulous pattern weights. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around here again, because I know the size that I'm using. If you are tracing your pattern, just put it underneath here and trace around your pattern, your master pattern, however it fits you. But I know this is the size that I need. So I'm going to trace around it like this. This is the time you would lengthen it if you want a longer blouse. Now that's all you need to do. However, we need to add our seam allowance. We need to add that 1/2 inch because we added that 1/2 inch to the front. So we need to add that 1/2 inch to the back. That's all there is to do. However, got one more little step. When you wear a blouse or you wear a jacket, you wear anything woven, most people are broader across their back. So you need a little bit more movement in it. This is the way you're going to get it. I'm going to go from here, that's the shoulder point right here, and I'm going to go down like this. And can you see where I've added? Now, if you are really broad across your back, I suggest that you take, if you don't have anybody to help you with this, take a blouse that you like, measure down about 5 inches from the center back, which is center back neck, which is where this would be right here. And I'm going to draw a line there so you can see it. That's 5 inches down from the center back. You can do this on a blouse that you love, you already have, and you want to measure from where that drawing that I just made over to the center back. And on here I have 8.5 inches, okay? So that's going to be 16, 17 inches. You have to take off a 1/2 inch on each side, so that's an inch off. So you really could call this 8 because your seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. So that's 16 inches across the back. I've measured hundreds of women, and I know there are a lot of women that are a lot larger than 18 inches or 16 inches, and that's fine. Go back and watch the video on how I spread the sleeve, because that's how you would spread the back in order to get more movement. You can't just keep adding out here because you're going to alter the armhole if you do that. But you want to make sure that you have enough that's comfortable, and it's very simple to split the pattern and pull it apart to add in the center back, because you really need to be comfortable in that. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to do the sleeve. And let me pull this over here. When you do the sleeve, again, make sure that you add that 1/2 inch. Now, if you want to taper the sleeve, that's fine. I'm going to suggest that you box the sleeve. And let me draw that for you so you can see what I'm talking about. If you box a sleeve, you would add about an inch. You can add more if you want to. About an inch right here. And you can go straight down like this. And it just makes a boxier sleeve. Now, if you want 3/4 sleeves, you may want to check a garment that you already have and mark it 3/4. I usually go by what you have right here on your pattern. For the short sleeve, that's a really good short sleeve right here, because you're going to fold that up. I'm going to show you how to do a cuff like you see on the bottom here. So I like 3/4. I like 3/4, as you can see what I'm wearing. So I know that my 3/4 sleeve is about 20 inches, and this is 20 inches. So I'll draw a line. Now you don't need to make a pattern for each one. All you have to do is write on their short sleeve and 3/4 sleeve, and then you're ready to go. Fold the pattern up. You don't need to make a new pattern for each one of those. But I think you're going to be happier when you make a blouse if you have a little boxier sleeve. But again, you get to design your own thing, whatever is comfortable for you to use. So now that we've made our pattern, and we're going to cut our pattern out of fabric, and then we're going to sew it together. So let me move this out of the way, and I'll get the garments. Now this is the sleeve that we've done of the garment, and I've already sewn the shoulder seams together, but I want to show you what the garment looks like with the facing attached. So this is the front. The facing is attached. You can see the facing has been interfaced with the French fuse, and I've sewn the shoulder seams together with the 1/2 inch. So everything is ready to go. Now I've already serged around the edge of this. This is woven fabric, so it's going to fray on you. So you want to make sure that you serge around it. A lot of times I will serge around all of my pieces, and then I put them together. But that's totally up to you the way you want to do it. You can see that this is already fraying. Don't worry about it, because this is all going to be folded to the inside and you'll never see it. So that's not a problem. So we're going to sew the shoulder seams together first, and then we're going to put the sleeves in. So let me show you. This sleeve is already in, and I'm going to show you a little trick about sewing sleeves into a woven. I'm going to lay this on my table where you can see the armhole like this. this out of the way. There we go. So you can see the armhole. This little point right here is called an arm's eye. You have the same thing on your sleeve, an arm's eye right here. Go back to the directions on sewing this sleeve in and you'll see exactly how it's done. You're going to pin the cap of the sleeve first. This part of the sleeve will stretch down here. This part of the armhole will stretch down here, and that part of the sleeve will stretch. So this is the part that you stretch in when you do this. This one has already been sewn in, so let me show you what this looks like once it's sewn in. And you can see that the seam allowance is pressed towards the sleeve. Then you need to sew your side seams together. Now I'm going to suggest you do this before you finish the neck edge. And the reason being is you can make sure that it's comfortable the way you want it fitted. So I'm going to pin this, and when you sew your side seams, this is a really simple way to do it all the way through. So we're going to start at the bottom and sew right through to the sleeve. So that's the way you're going to do that. All right, let me lay this on the table and show you. That's going to be one straight seam. Now, the reason I ask you to do this before you actually put the collar on is because you may want to make that tighter. That would be the time to play with it when you don't have the collar and everything on it. So that would be the time to play with it. All right. So now once you've done that, let me get all this up here. And we're going to put the collar on. Now, I've given you the pattern for a collar that looks like this. This is the pattern that you've got. This is a collar that has a stand on it. This collar does not have a stand on it. You can see this is just a square collar. The collar with the stand on it is more like you see on a man's shirt. And you can see that when I fold it over on that line, that's the kind of collar that you're going to get. This is what the collar looks like after it's sewn together. And you can see the stand. Now, one of the little tricks that I do, and it's totally up to you as to how you want to do that, you can just top stitch right here. And when you top stitch, it just kind of holds it in place. Or you can just press it really, really good. Now, this collar has been interfaced with the French fuse, so make sure that you put the French fuse on the collar. You can put it on both sides if you like a really stiff collar, or you can put it on just one side. That's totally up to you. But you do have the pattern for doing the collar stand. You also have the pattern for doing a square collar like you see on this one. So let me show you one of the things that I do that's a little bit different than other patterns that you've ever used. Most patterns give you a collar pattern, and then you assume that it's going to fit your neck edge. Well, maybe today you were really good and you sewed with that half-inch seam, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you sewed with more like a 1/4 inch seam, or maybe you sewed with more like a 5/8 inch seam, but you're not exact, okay? So let me show you a little trick. You're going to measure the neck edge. Then you're going to cut the collar accordingly. So stand the tape measure up. I had a tape measure. I lost it. But stand the tape measure up, and then whatever the neck edge measures, make the collar fit the neck edge. It's a lot easier to sew that way. So that's how you're going to do the collar. So follow the directions for sewing the collar on. It's really simple to do. Now you can see that I'm going to interface this entire collar. It's folded in half, and it's very simple to get a nice crease in that. So it's a really good collar. Now if you want to do the notch, can you see the notch? Then when you sew this to the garment, let me show you, that's where the seam is, where the fold back is for the facing. When you stitch it to the garment, you don't come all the way to the edge. You come over a little bit, and that part right here, and I'll show you this with yellow chalk, this part right here, that's what's going to make the notch. So if you like a really big notch, don't measure all the way over to the seam allowance. Just measure in as far as you want that notch to be. So that's what creates the notch. It looks like it's really hard, but it's really, really that simple. I promise you. So then what we're going to do is you're going to put that back on, and you're happy with the collar, you're happy with the fit, you're happy with all of it. Where are you going to put the buttons? Now I know when you buy a blouse pattern, it gives you button markings. I'm going to give you a hint. you have a wide part of you, and it's usually right here. That needs to be your first button, right there. Wherever you're the widest, that's your first button. Then you need to measure above and below it. However many buttons you want to put on the garment, that's totally up to you, but that needs to be the main button in this place. So make sure that you do that. Now I love pockets. So I have given you a pocket pattern for doing on this blouse, just like I have here. Now this is cut work, and this was an embroidery design. If you want to do that, that's great. Make sure that you do it before you actually finish the edges of it. But when you do a pocket, make sure that you interface just the top part of that pocket. And it tells you that on the directions, and it shows you that on here. If you want to make a breast pocket, the only thing different in this pocket and a breast pocket is it's shorter. That's all. It's exactly the same width, it's just shorter. And I love breast pockets. I think they're really cool. But before you actually stitch a breast pocket on, I really would try it on you. And that's when you can take your glue stick and glue it in place if you want to. Reason you want to try it on you, you don't want to wind up with it right there. Not pretty. You want to make sure it's up just a little bit. So try it on yourself. I think you'll be really happy with it. This is a great pocket for no matter where you want to put it. And if you're like me and you like pockets, you can just stack them up if you want to. So they really do add a whole lot to your garment. Now, one other hint I want to give you is how to finish an armhole. So if you want to make this blouse sleeveless, it's really simple to do. We're going to use bias. Now, I want to show you what bias is. Let me move this just one second and show you what bias is. This is a plaid fabric, and this might be a little bit easier to see. This is the cross grain. This is the lengthwise. And that is the bias. All right. So I'm going to draw this on the brown fabric so that you can see it. So this is the crosswise. This is the lengthwise. And this is the bias. So when you do the bias, you would draw on there like this. And depending on what size bias tape maker you're using, that's how wide you would actually cut the bias strip. So let me just draw on here like this. That's how wide you would cut the bias strip. All bias tape makers come with directions, so make sure that you read the directions with the bias tape maker. Then what we're going to do is to take that bias strip and run it through the bias tape maker, and when it comes out the other side, it will be folded for you, and it's going to look like this. So press that really good. Now, I love spray starch, and the reason I love it is because it gives you good markings. So I suggest that you buy some. The best spray starch is called Best Press, and it's a wonderful, wonderful spray starch. So make sure that you use some spray starch. It keeps it in place. When you stitch this to the armhole, and I'm going to go back and show you a little trick. Bias stretches. That's the reason we use it in this place. If you've ever had a garment that you have gaposis right here, this is a great way to solve it because you can actually stretch it as you stitch it on. And you can see that this side has been stretched and it has been stitched, and it's stitched right in the crease of that bias tape. Now what I'm going to suggest you do is you take your steam-a-seam, that's what this is, and this is sticky steam-a-seam, and I do sell this on my website, so you can order it from there. And I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do a little piece right here, and I'm going to put it right on the edge like this. And I like to use tweezers because, believe it or not, everything sticks to your fingers. So if you've got tweezers, you'll be able to see that you can put this down a whole lot easier. See how it stays down? Okay. Now, you can press that whole thing to the inside if you want to, or you can literally just go around the edge like this, press it down, and then press the whole thing to the inside, and you don't have anything showing at all. Or you can press this over like this, and it's all glued down. You need no pins whatsoever, and you can top stitch, and you know it's going to catch because it's all been glued. So make yourself some blouses. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's time to check out the website. Everything is on there. You can purchase the pattern, the book, all the notions I talked about. You can join the Fit Club and check out the classes where I'm teaching. And be sure to follow me on Facebook.